Hi, everybody. So in this video, we're going to take a look at Module 3, the Production Possibilities Curve model. And hopefully you kind of skim over this a little bit and see what they're talking about. A lot of it is what we covered in 1.2 about the PPC. So you can see some of the shifting curves and things like that. Let's go ahead and get started, though, with Module 3, Check Your Understanding. And we can see that there are just one question, and it's got three parts: true, false, explain your answer. So number 1A says an increase in the amount of resources available to Tom for use in producing coconuts and fish does not change his PPC. Now, if you read the module, it goes into some detail about Tom Hanks in a movie called Castaway, where that it talks about that as a PPC. But if you increase the amount of resources available to produce things, then that's going to shift out the PPC, right? That's growth. So we would say false because it increases productive capacity is a fancy way of saying that, right? It increases productive capacity. And that's a fun phrase. It's gonna be used all year long. When we talk about economic growth, we're talking about productive capacity. How much can you produce? Letter B, technological change that allows Tom to catch more fish relative to any amounts of coconuts gathered results in a change to his PPC. That is also going to lead to an increase in productive capacity. It's literally defined that way. So we would say that, oh wait, I just can't read. That one is true, right? Because it says results in a change, and that's true because of the same reasons, right? It increases his productive capacity. Now C says points inside a PPC are efficient and points outside it are inefficient. Now, the second part of the statement is sort of true because outside of a PPC is technically infeasible, so you wouldn't really characterize that as efficient use of resources. The first part, though, is totally false. If you're inside the PPC, recall that that means you're not fully using your resources. So we're going to say false because inside PPC is inefficient, right? And we could also say that maybe outside the PPC is infeasible or not possible. Now let's take a look at the multiple choice here. We're just going to do those here really quick. Number one says, refer to the graph for all the questions. Oh, who's calling me? Oh boy, I got to pause this here really quick. Okay, sorry about that. There was another teacher calling me right in the middle of all of this. Oh my goodness. As you can imagine, the pandemic is causing some people to be a little bit wound up. So let's take a look at these multiple choice questions. Which points on the graph represent efficiency in production? And so looking over there, we've got points A is on the curve, B is on the curve, C is on the curve, and D is on the curve. So A, B, C, and D, which one is that? That's C. Number two, for this economy, an increase in the quantity of capital goods without a decrease in the quantity of consumer goods is produced from where? Okay, so if we look at the dots, if you were to go from like E and you increase the quantity from point E, let me actually just use the mouse here, right? From E up to B, okay, you don't have a decrease in the quantity of consumer goods. Excuse me, they stay the same, but you do have an increase in capital. So what is that? E to B is here. So letter D. Number three, an increase in unemployment could be represented by a movement from point blank to blank. Well, it would be anything where we're moving from on the curve to underneath it. So something to point E. So let's see, do any of these go to point E, B to E? Yes, B to E would be that. So which one is that? That's D. Number four says which would allow the economy to move from B to F. So what would allow for growth is actually what we're asking here, right? More workers, yes, that would do it. Discovery of new resources, that would do it because that's more resources, same thing. Building new factories, that's more resources. Technological advances, that's productive capacity. It's how you organize them. All four of those woods, the correct answer is E, all of the above. Number five, this production possibilities curve shows the trade-off between consumer and capital goods. Since capital goods are a resource, an increase in the production of them today will increase the economy's productive possibilities in the future. So if we hold everything else constant, at what point, if we produce today, will make the biggest shift outward? So in other words, what's going to give us the most ability to produce in the future? And recall, it just says right there in the question, capital goods are used to make other things. So if we make more capital goods, then we'll get more economic growth, right? So that kind of like the marshmallow experiment, if you've never heard it, right? You put a little marshmallow in front of a kid and you say, wait 1 minute and you'll get two. Well, some kids grab the marshmallow and eat it, right? And then they don't get 2 marshmallows. But if you're willing to wait the 1 minute on your delaying your consumption and you invest in new machinery and capital, then you'll get even more growth in the future. So we're going to say point A because that's the most capital goods you could make. And so the correct answer is A. Okay, let's take a look at the free response questions. This is a really good free response, the first one, so I strongly encourage you to read through that one, check it out. You're going to see a question very similar like that on the exam. Number 2, assume that the economy can choose between producing food and shelter at constant opportunity cost. Key there, constant. It's going to be a straight line. Draw a correctly labeled PPC for the economy, and then on the graph, show some letters and that kind of thing. Okay, so free response number 2. Okay, so we're going to have, let me make sure that you can actually see that. Wait, boy, I don't know why I did that. Oh my goodness. There we go. I'm sorry if it's a little harder to read on this side, but that way you can see the whole thing. Okay, so first we need, let's make it nice and big, right? We got a whole piece of paper. We have food, and it doesn't tell us which axis to do for which, so that's fine. And the other one is shelter, and then it's constant, so we need a straight line. If it were increasing, remember that would be bowed out like that other one. And then on the graph, put E for efficient, so anywhere on the curve. So it could be there. You could put it all the way down here, right? You could put it anywhere on the line as efficient. Use the letter U for unemployment. Well, that's anywhere under the line, so that would be unemployment. And I for impossible or not feasible, so that would be anywhere outside of it. Bada bing, bada boom. Hopefully this helps you. I'll see you next time. Bye now.